What if everything you think you know about life and death is wrong? Look, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a philosopher, I was just a regular guy, until the day I died. This isn't some theory I read online, this is my story. It's about what happened when my heart stopped, and how, coming back, gave me a second life with abilities that, frankly, I can't explain. And science can't either. A year ago, my biggest problem was the coffee shop running out of oat milk. My life was painfully normal, predictable. I had a 9-to-5 data entry job, a slightly overweight cat named Kevin, and a standing Friday night date with a pizza and old sitcoms. I was content, but in that way, you're content with a screensaver, just passively watching a life that felt like it was waiting for the real one to start. I was a skeptic, big time. Ghosts, psychics, life after death. To me, that was all just fairy tales for people who couldn't handle reality. I believed consciousness was just a trick of the brain. When the lights go out, that's it. Game over. I was so sure of myself, so smug in my scientific materialism. I had no clue my whole world was about to get unplugged. It was a Tuesday. Raining, of course, one of those miserable, relentless downpours that turns the whole city gray. I was running late, which wasn't like me. I remember fumbling with my umbrella, trying to text my boss back, and stepping into the crosswalk without looking. That's the last normal thing I remember. The sound hit me first. A horrible screech of tires that seemed to stretch and warp time. Then, a flash of headlights so bright they burned. I didn't even have time to scream. Just a colossal, shattering impact. A sensation of flying, not in a cool way, but like a doll being flung by a giant. And then, nothing. Just the cold, wet pavement on my cheek. The world went silent, except for a high-pitched ringing. The rain felt like it was falling on someone else. I tried to move, to say something, but my body had quit. A strange calm washed over me as everything went dark, and then, I was gone. The next thing I knew, I was floating. It's a cliché, I know, but it's the only word that works. I felt myself just lift. A weightless, painless separation from the chaos down below. I looked down and saw my own body lying there, a broken mess on the asphalt. It was the most bizarre, out-of-body feeling, like I was watching a movie about some tragedy that just happened to star me. There was no pain, no fear, just a deep, overwhelming sense of peace. All the panic was just gone. I saw the flashing ambulance lights, the paramedics rushing out, their faces grim and focused. I could hear them, not with ears, but somehow, I just knew their words, every frantic shout. I was a silent observer at my own failed resuscitation. And then, I felt a pull. The scene faded away into a quiet, empty darkness. It wasn't scary, it felt more like a waiting room. I just drifted in this starless space with no sense of time until a single point of light appeared. It grew, expanding into this beautiful, living light that felt more like a presence than just something to see. It felt like love. Pure, unconditional love that filled my entire being. A feeling more real than anything I'd ever known. And I understood, in that instant, that the light wasn't separate from me. It was me. It was everyone. A voice that wasn't a voice spoke, not in words, but in pure understanding. It told me it wasn't my time. That I had to go back. I didn't want to. I wanted to stay in that peaceful light forever. But then I felt myself yanked backward, like a rubber band snapping. I was rushing back toward the world of noise and pain. There was a violent, jarring jolt, and with a gasp that burned like fire in my lungs, my eyes flew open. I was back. The first thing I saw was the shocked face of a young paramedic who I swear had just pronounced me dead. Life after that was weird. The doctors called it a 1-in-a-million miracle. I called it a nightmare. I had constant nightmares, couldn't focus, and felt totally disconnected from everything. PTSD, they said, a normal response to trauma. But there was other stuff. Stuff I couldn't exactly tell a psychiatrist. It started small. A week after I got home, my friend was telling me a story, and I knew her punchline a second before she said it. Just a weird coincidence, I figured. Then, I was watching a game show, and the answer to a question I had no business knowing just popped into my head. The worst part was the noise. Not a real noise, but this constant, low-level hum of thoughts, whispers just on the edge of hearing. A trip to the grocery store was torture, a chaotic storm of strangers' anxieties, to-do lists, and fleeting feelings. I seriously thought I was going insane, I'd be walking down the street and suddenly get a flash of an image. Some guy's memory of his childhood dog, or a sudden sharp pang of a woman's grief over a lost parent. It was like their emotions were just hanging in the air. I thought I was hallucinating, that the accident had broken my brain. One night, I was trying to sleep and my neighbor's dog would not stop barking. I was so frustrated I squeezed my eyes shut and just wished it would stop. And it did. Instantly. Total silence. My eyes snapped open, heart hammering. I sat bolt upright in bed, listening. Nothing. I waited, holding my breath. A minute later, the dog let out a confused little yip, and then it was quiet for the rest of the night. No way. It had to be a coincidence. It had to be. Have you ever experienced something you just can't explain? Something that made you question everything? Let me know in the comments. I'd genuinely love to hear I'm not the only one. The moment I couldn't deny it anymore, the moment that completely shattered my skepticism, happened about 2 months after the accident. I was on a city bus, just staring out the window, trying my best to block out the psychic static from the other passengers. Suddenly this wave of pure, ice-cold panic washed over me. It wasn't mine. It was coming from the man driving the car in the lane next to us. I saw a horrifyingly clear vision. A little girl in a pink coat, chasing a red ball into the street right in front of him. The driver wasn't looking, he was on his phone. The vision lasted a split second, but it felt like an eternity. The word just exploded out of me. "Stop!" I screamed. The entire bus went quiet. Everyone just stared. The bus driver slammed on the brakes, sending people lurching in their seats.
"What the hell is your problem?" he yelled.
But I wasn't looking at him, I was looking out the window. Just as our bus shuddered to a stop, a little girl in a pink coat ran straight into the street, chasing a red ball, right into the space where the bus would have been. The car next to us swerved violently, horn blaring, and missed her by inches. Everything froze. The girl's mom ran out, scooping her up, a mess of crying and screaming. The driver of the car was ghost white, his hands shaking, and everyone on the bus was just staring. First at the scene outside, then back at me. No one said a thing. The bus driver just slowly pulled away. For the rest of the ride, nobody sat within 10 feet of me. That was it. That was the point of no return. This wasn't PTSD. It wasn't a hallucination. This was real. After the bus incident, the fear slowly started turning into a terrifying kind of curiosity. I started to experiment cautiously. I'd try to guess what a news anchor would say next, and I'd be right more often than not. I'd stare at a streetlight, and sometimes, just sometimes, it would flicker. I learned I could pick up on strong emotions, fear, anger, love, like they were radio signals. It was like my 5 senses got cranked up to 11, and a 6th one had just been switched on. One day, I found my cat, Kevin, hiding under the bed, whimpering. I knelt down, and instead of just hearing him, I felt his fear. I got an image in my head of a big, mean stray cat that had cornered him by the back door. I went outside, found the stray, and shooed it away. When I came back in, Kevin crawled out from under the bed and rubbed against my leg, purring. It was the first time any of this felt like a gift instead of a curse. I went down a rabbit hole online, reading everything I could find on near-death experiences. It turns out my experience, the light and the feeling of peace, was consistent with many documented reports, and I wasn't totally alone in the after effects either. I found these anecdotal stories from people who reported strange changes, like increased empathy and no longer fearing death. Some, like me, claim to have developed a kind of heightened intuition or even psychic abilities, though these claims are controversial and not scientifically proven. There was no instruction manual, no school for people who came back different. I was going to have to figure out the rules of this new reality on my own. My old life, the data entry job, the pizza Fridays, it all feels like a movie I watched a long time ago, a life lived by someone else. That person died on the pavement. The person I am now is a stranger walking around in his skin. My view of the world has been completely broken and reassembled. I don't just see people anymore. I see these swirling masses of energy, of memories, of secret heartbreaks and quiet joys. It's beautiful, but it's also completely overwhelming. The psychic noise is still there, but I'm slowly learning how to build walls, how to filter it out and find the silence in the storm. My relationships have gotten complicated. It's hard to have a normal conversation when you can feel the lie behind someone's polite smile or the deep sadness they're trying to hide. It's made me more compassionate, but also more isolated. How do you really connect with people who have no idea what you can see, what you can hear? The biggest change, though, is my sense of purpose. Before, my purpose was just to get through the week. Now, I don't know. I saved a little girl's life. That can't just be a coincidence. I was sent back for a reason. Am I supposed to be some kind of hero? A guardian? Or am I just a glitch in the system? A biological anomaly that science doesn't have an answer for yet? I used to be terrified of dying. Now I understand that death isn't the end. It's more like a transition. What I'm afraid of now is living. I've been given this power, this second shot at life, without any explanation. It's an incredible gift and a terrifying burden all at once. I'm no longer just passively watching the world go by. I'm part of it in a way I never, ever imagined. Dying gave me a second life, and figuring out what I'm supposed to do with it, that's what keeps me up at night.